Good morning. I'd like to call the Finance Committee meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Ecka?
Present.
Mr. Dennell? Present. Mr. Hess? Present. Ms. Polk?
Present.
Ms. Weber? Present. Ms. Parker? Present. Mr. Swanson? Present. Mr. Featherling? Present. Mr. Miller? Mr. Long? Present. Mr. Hunter? Present. Ms. Foster? Present. Ms. Armour Herbst? Mr. Lowy? Present. Mr. Wheeler? Present. Mr. Alexander Hildebrand? Present. We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Is there any public comment in the back? I have no slips of public comment. Any public comment? Seeing none. Next up is the approval of minutes of the July 24th, 2024 meeting that has been sent to you electronically. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes? Motion by Mr. Lowy, second by Mr. Swanson. Any additions or corrections? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. No presentations. Next up, we'll do the bid opening for KCDC ARPA Fund 098. Wes, would you like to give a general overview of this really quick for the committee?
Yeah, I'll tee this one up and then I'll turn it over to, we've got Doug Bright with us here today from Bright Architecture, and then Owen Starr from PSI. PSI is our construction manager on this project. Brief overview, this is for the old jail, the Kankakee County Detention Center that sits downtown. It's for exterior tuck pointing and roofing for that facility. Both are in major need of, both have major issues. We have a substantial amount of leaks in that facility from both the roofing and the exterior limestone and especially windows. So this is something that if you've been around for a bit, you've probably heard me talk about it at, probably my committee. So with that, I will turn it over to Doug and Owen. They're going to open the bids. We've got two bids, one for the tuck pointing portion of the project and then one for the roofing portion of the project.
Can I have a motion to open the bids? Motion by Mr. Dunnell, second by Mr. Long. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, good morning. As Wes had said, we have two bid packages for the old jail. Bid package number 1 is roofing, and bid package number 2 is the tuck pointing. We're going to start with bid package 1, and our first bid is from Corellis Roofing. Okay, Corellis submits bid security in the form of a 10% bid bond. They have acknowledged addendum number 1 and have submitted a base bid price for the roof replacement of $439,921. $439,921. All certifications have been submitted. Our second bid is from Langlois Roofing. Langlois submits bid security in the form of a 10% bid bond. They acknowledge receipt of addendum number 1 and have submitted a base bid price of $260,495. $260,495. And all certifications have been submitted. Okay, that concludes the bids for the roofing package. Moving on to the masonry package. The masonry package is a little bit different than normal. We have done this one by allowance and unit price. Our first bid is from Corellis. Corellis submits bid security in the form of a 10% bid bond. They acknowledge receipt of addendum number 1. Have submitted allowance number 1, which is 1,000 lineal feet of mortar tuck pointing at $20,920. $20,920. Allowance 2, 1,000 lineal feet of sealant tuck pointing, $27,440. $27,440. Unit price 1 is mortar tuck pointing per lineal foot, $20.92, and unit price number 2, sealant tuck pointing per lineal foot, $27.44. All certifications have been submitted. Oh. Next bid is from Knott's Masonry. Knott's has submitted bid security in the form of a 10% bid bond. They acknowledge receipt of addendum number 1. Have submitted allowance number 1, mortar tuck pointing, $20,000. Allowance 2, sealant tuck pointing, $31,500. Unit price number 1, mortar tuck pointing, $20. Unit price number 2, sealant tuck pointing, $31.50. All certifications have been submitted.
So just a question with 1 and 2, do you just combine the two numbers and then just go with whoever the lowest bidder is for both of those?
Yes.
Or okay, all right.
Last bid is from Autobomb Construction. Autobomb has submitted am I missing this one? Here we go. Bid security in the form of a 10% bid bond. They acknowledge receipt of addendum number 1. Submitted allowance number 1, mortar tuck pointing, $16,555. Allowance number 2, sealant tuck pointing, $17,790. Unit price 1, mortar tuck pointing, $10.90 a lineal foot. And unit price number 2, sealant tuck pointing per lineal foot, $11.70. All required certifications have been submitted. And that concludes the bids for the masonry tuck pointing. That concludes all bids.
Thank you very much. Can I have a motion to approve the lowest responsible bidder after the state's attorney's office review? Motion and our architecture. Motion by Mr. Swanson, second by Ms. Weber. Any comments or discussion? Chairman Wheeler.
I'd just like to hear from Steve as a reminder, McCarty, what that number was that we had set aside. I just want to make sure that our low bid is going to cover this in the room. Steve, we're under what our estimate was, so we're good. You see why I wanted to at least get that on the, because if it was twice what we had available, we'd have to have a conversation. So, okay, thank you.
All right, so we have motions on the floor. Roll call.
Mr. Eckhoff?
Aye.
Mr. Dunn?
Aye.
Mr. Hess?
Aye.
Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Ms. Weber? Ms. Parker? Mr. Swanson? Mr. Featherling? Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Hunter? Ms. Foster? Mr. Lowy?
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you both. Thank you, Wes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up is Mr. McCarty. Chairman Wheeler.
Do you know what time people have to leave, Chairman?
Yes. Mr. Dunnell and Swanson 9:40. Mr. Hunter 9:30.
Okay, if we get up to the mileage for, if they have to leave, we get up to that,
Yeah.
that mileage we should talk about.
Sounds
that's
good.
That's a votable.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. All right,
We'll amend at that time.
okay.
Good morning, Steve.
Morning.
All the miscellaneous financial reports are in your packets.
I'll try to keep moving since we have people
No, you're
on the
good.
timeline. Any questions on the monthly reports? Sales tax. See if there's anything. Yeah, we're seeing up and down like income tax from month to month. Some interesting trend here, so we're trying to figure out an average to see what, not only what the fiscal year end will be, but also what the budget for next year. But I won't spend a lot of time on it unless somebody has any specific question.
Any questions from the committee? If not, cash flow update.
Yeah, we received our first distribution at the end of July, so it's part of this report. That's an actual number, 10 million, and no issues. So got estimated out to the end of the year. We'll keep you updated. So no issues there. Unless there's any questions.
Any questions from the committee? Still looking healthy. Next up is claims for recommended for approval, not for approval. Mr. Dunnell.
Move that we combine and approve.
Motion to combine approve. Second.
Polk.
Ms. Polk. Steve, can you read them
Read 'em
into
in.
the record? Yep.
All right. Inman, Fitzgibbons.
Attorneys.
Stop there. Attorney, $364.50. Frida K. Walls for $100. Adrian Maiden for $700. Urban Funeral Home for $1,500. Tammy Williams, $330.88. Amazon Capital Services, $406.50. Sorry. Frida K. Walls, $400. Micah Nichols, $723.60. Clove Alliance, $30,021.15. Another one for Tammy Williams, $275.53. Another one for Frida K. Walls for $300. Adrian Maiden for $1,050. For Iroquois County, $9,632.67. Riverside Medical Center, $2,500. Nordmeyer Graphics, $1,100. Trevor Allen, $41.55. And this is the last one, I believe. Phillips Auto Group of Bradley, $2,346.77.
Any comments or questions? Mr. Swanson, comment?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there a reasonable expectation? I read through this entire package.
Yeah, use your mic. Maybe I have it all.
Yeah, thanks,
sorry.
Mr. Chairman. Is there a reasonable expectation going forward that will be? I read this entire packet this morning, and I don't know why he rejected half of these. I can't read what he wrote.
I won't comment any further, but I agree with you.
I tried to understand him, and I can't.
I had a conversation with the state's attorney again, and yet again there was no conversation. If you look through one of the emails, it stated what his personal belief was with it, and it's as far as I will personally comment on it. Chairman Wheeler.
Thank you, sir.
But I agree with you.
I would echo that. Now the absurdity of it aside, rejecting a payment on your own lawsuit where you're suing us is wow. But anyway, set all of that aside. It takes time in this meeting. So I brought this up before. Anything that doesn't have an explanation, can we vote, can make it part of the motion that you also allow the chairman, with the consultation of the finance director, when it says see previous note, that's not a rejection. We're not on a wild goose chase. This ain't Where's Waldo. Okay, so if we're not going to be approached in a professional manner, we'll just pay them with the regular claims, so we don't have to sit here and read this stuff into the record and kill 17 trees every meeting with his rejections, because it's only going to get worse. Okay, he doesn't have the authority to reject or approve a claim. He has to sign off on it. If he doesn't sign off on it, it has to go through the process. Okay, so by going through a process, it means that we're approving the claims. So as part of the claims approval, if we can't tell what it is, I would like to submit it just as a regular claim, because he doesn't have the authority to stop it anyway. So I don't know what we can do to stop the insanity, as the 90s commercial used to say. How do we do this? 3 more months? Okay, well, I'll make the motion to amend the original motion. If it doesn't say anything beyond see previous note, if it says see previous note, pay it with irregular claims. Because that's not an objection.
All right, so Chairman Wheeler made the motion. Is there a second to the motion? Mr. Swanson. Any discussion with that? Personally, I can't vote for that just because recommended for approval, not approval. I think there should be, at least this committee should see it. It's going to get passed either way, in my personal opinion. But I will not be voting for that. So any discussion? All right, I'll do a roll call.
Mr. Eckhoff?
Nay.
Mr. Dennell?
Aye.
Mr. Hess?
Aye.
Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Ms. Weber? Ms. Parker? Mr. Swanson?
Aye.
Mr. Featherling?
No.
Mr. Long?
Aye.
Mr. Hunter? Ms. Foster? Mr. Lowy?
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Chairman Wheeler.
Just to clarify, you will still see those claims in the claims. You will still have to approve the claims. I'm not
Okay.
disparaging anybody for, it's not like it's just gonna automatically go with no approval. It's just, we're not gonna waste time going through his litany of problems he has with the state's attorney's office. We're not gonna do that anymore, because that's most of what's in here.
Yeah.
So,
That and the coroner's office
and corner.
repetitively.
It's state's attorney and coroner has a personal problem with both of them.
And
So
sheriff.
it's not professional.
And sheriff
it's
as well.
personal.
You're right, Steve.
So we're gonna skip that. And it'd be something akin to like see previous note. You know, if it's something along those lines. If there's no explanation or if it's illegible, we got to move on. So you'll still approve every claim in this committee.
So just to clarify, Chairman, you want me to make a copy of those to bring to this committee, but keep going and
Keep the
pay
check
them?
process going is what I understand.
Is that what you're?
I don't know. I would say keep a copy, and if anybody wants to see them, then they can ask you to see them. I don't want to waste time with this nonsense anymore. This is the last time I want to talk about.
I think maybe
just
if
did-
anything, bring a copy and just set it off to the side up here. And if members of the committee want to see it before the meeting,
Okay.
they can see them.
All right. So for the see previous note
Yeah.
ones. All right.
And the public.
Mr. Lowy, you're first.
I just want to reiterate that to piggyback Chairman Wheeler, if I see something that says previous note, and it said previous note since before I got on this board, how can I deny payment? That's the biggest problem I have. I just want to reiterate that point.
Thank you, Mr. Lowy. Mr. Swanson.
Yeah, and just a note, the rejections are half of this packet today.
Any other comments or questions or discussion regarding that? All right. So I have a motion to approve the claims on the floor. Yep. All right. Roll call.
Mr. Eckhoff?
Aye.
Mr. Dennell? Mr. Hess? Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Ms. Weber? Ms. Parker? Mr. Swanson?
Aye.
Mr. Featherling?
Aye.
Mr. Long?
Aye.
Mr. Hunter? Ms. Foster? Mr. Lowy?
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler? Motion carries.
Motion carries. Next up is the regular monthly claims. Can I have a motion to approve the monthly claims? Mr. Hunter, second by Ms.
Polk.
Parker. I'll get you next time, Ms. Polk. Anything to highlight? It all looked pretty much the same. Normal. Right, Steve?
Yeah. Unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions from the committee? If not, roll call.
Mr. Eckhoff?
Aye.
Mr. Dennell?
Aye.
Mr. Hess? Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Ms. Weber? Ms. Parker? Mr. Swanson? Mr. Featherling? Mr. Long?
Aye.
Mr. Hunter? Ms. Foster? Mr. Lowy?
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler? Motion carries.
Motion carries. Next up is capitalization threshold change recommended by SKDO, our outside auditors.
Yeah, you have a copy in front of in the packet of our capitalization policy. The change was from a GASB statement update. So the line that's changed now reads software and intangible asset subscriptions. So that's the specific line that's changing from the previous policy.
Is there any vote that needs to be taken on this, or it's just
Yes,
informational?
It does. Need a full
Okay.
board vote. Yes.
Can I have a motion to approve this change in the policy? Motion by Mr. Dunnell, second by Ms. Polk. Any questions? Chairman Wheeler.
What was the old threshold, Steve? Do Do you remember?
The
what
dollar amounts are all the same. It's just the wording change.
The wording changed? Okay, because I had heard that, you know, it was gonna change. They were talking about jumping it up, so, okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? If not, voice vote. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is amending ARPA Resolution 2024-03-1226, $134,631, going to the Direct ARPA Fund 095.
Yeah, this is an amendment for the circuit clerk office remodeling project. Reading some of the spatial aspects of it and getting down to the end with direct ARPA versus lost revenue and those criteria that we have to follow. This is about 20% of the total project that will be moving. We're recommending to move to Fund 095 instead of charging it all to Fund 098. So it doesn't change the scope or the size. It's just we're splitting out some of the funding as far as where we're charging it. So that's what this entails.
Can I have a motion to allow the amending of the ARPA resolution? Motion by Mr. Long, second by Ms. Weber. Any discussions or questions? If not, roll call.
Mr. Eckhoff?
Aye.
Mr. Dennell? Mr. Hess? Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Ms. Weber? Ms. Parker? Mr. Swanson? Mr. Featherling? Mr. Long? Mr. Hunter? Ms. Foster? Mr. Lowy? Mr. Wheeler? Motion carries.
Next up is amending ARPA Resolution 2023-03-1472 from $3,200,000 to $3,400,000 for ARPA Fund 098.
Yeah, this is an amendment to the dollar amount that was approved for the Tyler Technology Case Management System for the courthouse. Their year one, and when we were looking at how this was going to progress in from the original budget and from all the documents that we had, year one started earlier than what we expected. So we're allowed to charge more there. So this is cleaning up so that we have the ability to charge additional funds to Fund 098 for this project.
Can I have a motion to approve the amending motion by Mr. Hess, second by Mr. Long? Any comments or questions from the committee? Chairman Wheeler.
Just, if you're wondering, this is a good thing. We're using ARPA funds instead of that 200,000 coming out of local taxpayer funds.
Yep.
So this is a good catch.
And an updating of court technology too. So
Well, that should save us more.
Yeah.
Substantially.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Mr. Eckhoff?
Aye.
Mr. Dennell? Mr. Hess? Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Ms. Weber? Ms. Parker? Mr. Swanson? Mr. Featherling? Mr. Long? Mr. Hunter? Ms. Foster? Mr. Lowy? Mr. Wheeler? Motion carries.
Next up is new ARPA resolution for Fund 098 lost revenue, $89,828 to Court Street Ford for purchase of 2 vehicles.
Yeah, so this is new. These were part of a bid package pricing, so it is allowed to go to the ARPA funds because of that. One of these vehicles was for planning, the other was for probation. So yeah, $89,828.
Motion to approve by Mr. Hunter, second by Ms. Parker. Any comments or discussion? Chairman Wheeler.
Just real quick, we approved the spend already on an emergency basis because they showed up, and then so this is just the fund allocation.
Okay.
Just so you know.
Any comments or questions? If not, roll call.
Mr. Eckhoff?
Aye.
Mr. Dennell? Mr. Hess? Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Ms. Weber? Ms. Parker? Mr. Swanson? Mr. Featherling?
We're good.
Mr. Long?
We're good.
Mr. Hunter? Ms. Foster? Mr. Lowy? Mr. Wheeler? Motion carries.
Motion carries. Next up is new ARPA resolution for Fund 095 Direct ARPA, $24,200 to Alera for HVAC engineering study.
Steve, I'll take this one.
Okay.
So there's a couple different parts to this one, and I've been working with Chairman Wheeler on this pretty extensively. So I want to thank Andy for his help in sourcing this vendor, and then also his assistance with going through the process here. So there's 2 components to this one. There's an RTU assessment of $8,800, and then there's an MEPFP master plan for $15,400. And what those are, I'll discuss those. So the first portion, the RTU assessment, is for this building and then the courthouse as well. So again, at my committee, we've talked a lot about, I think I have 14 or 15 rooftop units in this building. All are very old. We have many problems with our units on an annual basis. So it's been kind of a wish list of mine that when we do have funds available, that we look at upgrading our units in this facility. So the first portion of this is to go through this building, go through all the units, provide a comprehensive list of the units, their age, and then kind of give us a chronological order of recommended replacement of those units. So that's the first portion. The second portion is basically an electrical assessment of this facility, the courthouse facility, how that electrical assessment will affect the RTUs that we would replace here at this facility, the RTU that we would possibly replace at the courthouse, and then how that also meshes with the elevator and the issues that we've been having over there. So that's kind of a summary. So what we're looking for is an approval on a not to exceed basis of $24,200. So Chairman Wheeler, if you've got anything to add, please do.
Just really, this came about from focusing on the elevator and then branching out from there, because we've made a lot of progress on that. You know, we're into the root cause of that. We've met with ComEd. We've working with Alara to identify how to keep constant power to that elevator to avoid 6 months down and $500,000 to $750,000. So down meaning no court operations. That's not possible, at least under our current system. So we're making a lot of progress. It's slow, but the electrical side is we need to see exactly what's going on between the elevator and the faults, and it's so old. I'm not going to get too much into the weeds, but we don't want to trigger a code change as we analyze the electrical system, if that makes sense, because once you do that, then you've got to update to now, and then everything else steamrolls from there. So it's taking a while because we have to do it methodically in steps. So I think we're finally to the point of being able to isolate solutions once we get this engineering. But the other side of it is we need to know which rooftop units we need to buy with what we've been saving with ARPA funds, and we need to know like the top 5 like yesterday. And so Wes knows that we need to know who our problem children are up on the roofs over here and at the courthouse, so we can expend the money we've been saving for that purpose for those units. We can't do them all, I don't think, with what we have left, but we should take out the bad ones and get them replaced. That's just my recommendation. That's what we've been planning.
And that's a great move.
Yeah.
Your mechanics and everything is your biggest assets.
Well, it should
But
save us
biggest
money.
cost, too.
I mean, they're inefficient,
Yeah.
and so we should get efficiency out of it. I don't know how a municipality would take advantage of CPACE and energy efficiency, but we're going to explore it. Maybe there's a way that we can drive down the cost on this. We don't pay property taxes, so I don't know how that would manifest.
Yeah.
But we might be able to put, if it's more than we have, let's just say, there might be another option to be able to get more of them done using CPACE, because it's a 1 or 2 or 3% interest rate over time. We'll just throw that out there in the finance committee. We could actually replace them all by using an economic development incentive that we make available to all business that's out there that buys energy efficient stuff. So anyway, I'll just mention that here now, more to come.
Can I have a motion to approve? Motion by Ms. Foster, second by Ms. Weber. Any discussion or questions from the committee? If not, roll call.
Ms. Straka?
Aye.
Mr. Dennell? Mr. Hess?
Aye.
Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Ms. Weber? Ms. Parker? Mr. Swanson? Mr. Featherling? Mr. Long? Mr. Hunter? Ms. Foster? Mr. Lowy? Mr. Wheeler?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
Just,
Anything else, Steve?
Yeah, one FYI for the committee on this study from Alara. On page 3, number 6, the reason it can go to direct ARPA is one of the things they're identifying is ventilation for good indoor air quality. That's big in the ARPA, direct ARPA aspect. There's a lot on, you know, this area there that we can explore and use for that. So that connects us to direct ARPA, just FYI. Chairman Wheeler, did you want to discuss anything else ARPA-wise?
Yeah,
direct ARPA?
I was, we were trying to get the direct ARPA, at least identified in where we were at with that. That was the stuff that's kind of hard to spend, if you will. It has to be, as Steve just mentioned, on, you know, mitigation of any of this, the effects of or contagion, you know, air filtration, stuff like that. You know, it's not infrastructure per se, it's infrastructure to address that. And I asked Steve, I said, I really need to know, because we wanted to release some more money to the public for social programming. If we have something left, we've got to release something. And it's not, no, that back, this is when if. Now, come on, Steve, now. Give me some time now. Ah, boy. Just like my wife, you interrupt me halfway through.
Ouch.
Yeah, sorry, you were at my house last night. Anyway, so the we will have something left. Okay, so the question is how much? And I think it would be safe to say, Steve, throw out there is 75,000 a good number, knowing that we would not have to go, you know, if we need something else in the contagion area, we have another 25 probably sitting there that we could allocate or something like that. Is 75 a good number that we could maybe release to the public, and under the same rubric that we did before, the same rules, the same evaluation team, you know, put it back out to the public, say, what do you got? Whether it's a series of smaller ones or one big one, there is really no, it's open-ended. So if somebody has something, but we need it back next month, is that, would you agree also? Because we got to evaluate it next month.
Yeah, as far as the dollar amount, 75, yes, but I'll leave it up to committee as far as like how, you know, how you go about doing it.
Well, the timing is what I'm asking you about, Steve, because we're going to have to award it, and then there has to be a contract in place before December 31st.
Literally for everything remaining, we have to have it under contract by the end of December of this year, in both categories. So the one that also needs to come is the roof for the ICANN building, as a project that needs to be under contract. It doesn't have to be spent, but it has to be under contract, locked up. Is the word.
They're bidding that, as we heard. They have a contractor pre-bid,
right,
so
good.
they're close to having that done. You know, at least getting us a number.
So
Yeah, the pre-bid is today, Steve.
Okay, great. That's great. So we have through 2025 and 2026 as far as to spend the rest of the money under those contracts, but everything has to be locked up, and we have to know what we're doing with it by the end of December 2024.
So this seems like it fits if we put it out there, like say today, you know, we get something out there, press release, whatever, and say we've got the final bite at the apple is 75,000. We're taking same application, same everything. Okay. I don't think we have to vote here because we've already allocated it. Are you guys okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Now that we have what's left, we just are putting more into the bucket. Well, I'll talk to state's attorney. If we need to like ratify something at full board, we'll do it. Okay. As long as I know I'm not overstepping what you want to see happen.
No.
Okay. No objection? Okay.
That's all I had. Unless somebody had any questions.
Thank you very much, Steve. Next up is the county treasurer's office. Treasurer, was it? Yeah, we already have. We'll have a quorum either way. County treasurer combine and approve his monthly reports. Motion by Mr. Lowy, second by Mr. Long. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer Africano.
I was going to say see my previous report, but figured that was probably not appropriate. Not today.
I only recognize Mr. Hess for that.
Mr. Hess has a sling on his arm, I see. So I just have two things. Well, actually three. So a week from tomorrow is the final day to pay second installment. We took in near 120 million first installment and distributed it. And more good news, last month we made about $440,000 in interest. Much of that money will be distributed, because anything that you make from tax revenue needs to be distributed out, prorated back to the taxing districts. But right now, it looks like we're going to average between 55 and 65,000 a month on special fund interest. So over a year, we should make $750,000. Now, obviously, looks like rates are going to go down a hair, but it'll still be fine. We'll still make a nice amount on interest, and maybe we can pay for some of those air handling units. That is all I have to today.
That's only 2 items. You said you had 3.
No, there was 3 there. You just don't want to count. But that's okay. We won't hold it against you.
Any questions or comments for the treasurer? All right. Thank you, sir.
Have a good week.
Next up is old and new business mileage for river subcommittee members. Chairman Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. These are the river subcommittee does not receive any compensation. They're all volunteers, but they're coming from all corners of the county. And so I made the suggestion when speaking with them that I was going to come back to the board and say, you know, we're not going to pay you for your time, you know, but as far as that goes, because it's volunteer, sweat equity, we're all in this together, but you shouldn't have to pay for the privilege of volunteering your time. So I was going to bring it to the board to allow them to get mileage, but under the auspice, if it fits in IRS regulations, and I'll talk to Anita about this, like 1 check a year. I don't want to write $4 checks every month to everybody. I'd rather them keep track of their mileage, if we can do it this way, whether it's once or twice a year, they submit their mileage for 6 months, and then it's at least a check. If it costs you $200-300 to write a check within internal processes, and then to have it come back here and questioned, I'm sorry, too soon. But anyway, so it's it seems that that's a logical approach to compensating them at least for the gas that's not getting any cheaper. So I don't know how the committee feels about that, but I think it's worth it to get their work.
Any opinion from the committee? Ms. Weber?
Thank you. I just would ask that they would be keeping a timesheet kind of thing then.
They have to keep their mileage for IRS and our regulations, just like we do.
I agree with that. Thank you.
Okay. So do you want a motion for mileage and leave it open regarding the year end, or once a year, twice a year?
Yeah, to see what works for us best and them. Yeah.
Okay. So motion by Mr. Wheeler, second by Mr. Featherlane. Any other discussion or questions regarding that issue? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Eckhoff?
Aye.
Mr. Dennell? Aye. Mr. Hess?
Aye.
Ms. Polk?
Aye.
Ms. Weber? Ms. Parker? Mr. Swanson? Mr. Featherling? Mr. Long?
Aye.
Ms. Foster? Mr. Lowy?
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Next up is river gauge update.
I have finally all the responses back. I don't know if the committee knows this, and I apologize. I was going to mention this yesterday, and I forgot to. We have a group. I put out an email to the communities and the park districts along the river to join in, because we are buying a river gauge, a USGS river gauge with ARPA funds, and we are going to install it on the river for turbidity and flow. Throwing it to the wastewater utility to see if they want to put nitrates and phosphorus on it as well, because they have to monitor those things, but that's their call. But we do have a response back from the group, and the partners are going to be Kankakee Park District, the City of Kankakee, us, and Aroma Park. The way this works is that the ARPA funds is going to buy the gauge for our part. The City of Kankakee is going to split that with us, and then we are all going to divide the maintenance of that gauge over a 20-year IGA. So all this is just starting, but because you're using ARPA funds, it has to be bondability. So we need the IGA to match how long the gauge is supposed to last. Because this gauge is fully insured, if you will, if it falls in the river, if somebody whacks it with their canoe, and takes it off of the bridge it's attached to or whatever, they come out and put a new one on. They come fix it. It's totally maintenance. Everything is off of our shoulders, which is kind of the way you want it. I've heard stories about the way that these things get treated by avid enthusiasts of sporting. So it's a good thing for all of us because we don't have any gauges between Shelby, Indiana, and Wilmington. I just want to let this committee know that it's together, so we're crafting it. We'll bring all this stuff back through here. It's just really good news that people care.
Where would the placement of the gauge possibly be at?
We're actually having that's a really heated conversation. Do we want it before, and this is between USGS, the soil and water people, I mean, everybody. Do you want it upstream on like 57 pre-mix, or do you want it post-mix after the dam? Because do you want to see what the sediment load is and everything coming where the Iroquois comes into the river? Do you want it there, or do you want it downstream? The scientists are arguing. There's benefits to both.
Mr. McCarty.
This is the first I'm hearing on the river gauge and ARPA. My question is the dollar amount and is it being bid? Because everything has to have a public bid to go to ARPA. And how much is it? Because we're trying to keep track of those.
So yeah, it's a sole source. You can only buy these from the USGS. So I haven't talked to Steve about it because it's $20,000.
Okay.
And so it was good news that I got everybody together. And once we had everybody together, we'd figure out what the yearly maintenance was because each municipality is taking a portion of the maintenance for that, for the gauge over 20 years. So we're not paying for the maintenance, we're paying for the gauge. So it's 20 grand on our part.
Okay.
If the board says they don't want to use ARPA funds, we can use general fund for it. It's so small, but the benefit is so large. So I thought I'd mention that here, and more to come. Everything will be filled in.
Mr. Featherling.
Oh, Mr. Wheeler, did you contact Aqua about? We had talked with them. You and I met with them. I don't know, quite a while ago, right? About a year ago or so. I thought we had talked about this in the meeting. They said, well, they. Did you try to get a hold of them, or did they not respond, or?
I will say that I'm not going to really disclose any conversations I had or am currently having with Aqua.
Okay, gotcha.
But they are not a forgotten potential partner here. I just have to be careful because they didn't say no. They haven't said yes. But I definitely want to encourage them to be part of this.
Yeah. Well, I knew we had talked with them about it once before.
So I was going to add that later if it materialized.
Okay. Any, Mr. Long?
So I want to stress how important that gauge is. We've been trying to get someone to help us put a gauge in here at Kankakee for more than 25 years. So this is kind of a big deal. It helps everybody do their planning and can look forward to what's coming at them, especially down river. So a gauge here would be amazing.
Any other comments or questions from the committee? All right, so we can't really vote on anything since it's not on the agenda, right? Yeah. Next up is Aroma Park Sediment Management Update.
So, the Aroma Park sediment, I put that in the package. How do we temper it? It's not the best news, but it's not horrible news. We have to reject both bids for the dredging project at Aroma Park and rebid them, and that newspaper notice is supposed to go in the paper on Friday. There were some things that needed to change in the bid that would allow people to provide us their best price, and there was too much variation, and you see what the reasons are that are in the packet there. But the main thing is the low bidder wasn't necessarily a bid; it was more of a menu of options, and that's not a qualified bid. So we can't accept that bid, and then the high bidder could do the work, but it basically not for the amount of money we have to do it for. And so there's things about river heights and channel widths and the road on the disposal site and the gravel, some things that I'm working on that I think we have the solution, and we're producing the document. I went out there with Ben and Delbert yesterday and talked to the rifle range, and I think we have a workable solution to tighten this up and get it where the engineer's estimate needs to be. You know, the bid where the engineer's estimate is. So I wished I had better news, but the good thing is we might still yet get this done this year, depending on how the weather is and the river height in November. You know what I mean? It's if we get a early winter and things start to freeze, it's or like right now we couldn't even get on the water. It's probably too low to even get out there because of the draft that these machinery take. It'll be on the bottom of the river where it's trying to cut a channel. Doesn't work like that.
So would the bid opening be at Highway and Waterways next month?
I think we'll put it at Highway and Waterways right before the full board, the following month.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Because you got to give them time to put it together.
So October.
Yeah. And there's going to have to be some side agreements with the rifle range and things like that that we'll be doing at the same time.
Any questions for Chairman Wheeler regarding this?
Oh, can I tag on that? The rifle range is interested in being that disposal site for as long as we can send them sand, and as long as it's acceptable for permitting reasons. Like there may be a point where you can take no more, but this is a good thing because after this project, looks like we've got a place to bring it in the future, which is a big deal. So that's part of the agreements that we're working on right now.
Any other comments or questions? All right, seeing none. Next up is Mr. Hess. You have a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Hess, second by Mr. Featherling. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.